First important aspect when you go and buy plant from nursery begins even before you reach nursery. That is from home. It's always a great idea if you go from home with an idea of what kind of plants do you want. Why are you going to buy plants? And I know, like, I and most of us, we just love going to nursery. I mean, the last time I bought plants, we were not even going to nursery. Me and Manoj were driving somewhere else. We saw a small nursery on the road. I'm like, maybe they have something we don't get in Delhi. And he wasn't convinced, but we went and we found some really great plants. And I bought them. But in general, I found my best shopping happens when I know why I'm buying plants. Like if you've seen the kitchen shelf that I did, I went to nursery knowing that I want to buy plants which that shelf can sustain in weight. So I bought plants which were lighter in weight. Or if you want to buy a plant for a living room which has a lot of space, then you will buy a plant which is that big so that when you bring it home, it fits the space perfectly. And that's why the first step starts before you even reach nursery. That is right from home. Just try to get an idea. What are the places where you are going to keep that plant? Why are you bringing this plant? And that will really help you to buy great plants. So that's my tip number one. Always go prepared. Understanding where you are going to keep this plant. And I'll tell you why. So if you attended our day before session, we talked about lighting. Now here's the second thing. Once you know where you're going to place these plants, you're going to buy the plant one of that size. And secondly, that meets the light requirement. If it is going to be indoors in a darker room, with a light, without a tube light, accordingly, we can buy and make the right decision to buy that plant. So that will be my point number one. Before you go to nursery, start planning where you're going to keep the plant beforehand. Now let's talk about reaching the nursery. And very important thing, when you go to nursery, before you even look at plants, look at the structure of the nursery. And that is going to really help you while you are buying the plants. Typically, what I have found, and especially in Delhi and around Delhi, but I understand that this is a general format because I was in Ahmedabad and the format was same. So when you enter nursery, you will first have rows of plants, and these plants are directly under sun, right? So you enter the nursery on your left and right or things like that, you will have plants which are directly under sun, there's nothing. Then you start seeing this green net. There's a green net on the top and that extends inside, right? Seen something similar? So we need to understand even under this green net, something which is right at the entrance from where the green net starts to something that is at the back side of where the green net is. The light requirement of the plants is changing. So if we want it for darker corners, we have to go and pick plants which are on the back side. We have to go and go under the net and walk a bit more. And this is very important. Even if the plant is going to be as a plant variety, let's say, if it survives even lower light, but the fact that that nursery has kept it for such long time in brighter light, that plant is going to struggle. So whenever you bring plants, and especially I know a lot of us from also the questions and comments that I get, I see that you're buying plants for indoor keeping. So always prefer, look at that net, walk a few feet inside, and that's from where you should buy your plants. They will likely do much, much better for you. So that's the point too. Observe the structure of the nursery, observe how the light pattern is there within that nursery. Outside. From outside, I mean from not under the green cover, but the plants which are under the sun. But if you're going to keep it in a low light condition, just walk under the green cover a bit more inside, and that's from where you pick the plants. And that's how you won't even have to ask the nursery person, ye indoor plant hai ya nahi? You don't have to ask whether it's an indoor plant. Firstly, we learned there's nothing called an indoor plant. They are low light plants. But also, just by understanding where they are kept, now we know for ourselves whether they will work in a low light condition or not. So this is very important. This is very important because then you become independent. Secondly, a lot of the times I observe that the person who's selling or the person who's there, he's not knowledgeable enough. You might ask him something, he may or may not understand. He might say yes or he might say no. But once you become independent to observe the light conditions of the nursery and take a decision, you're going to be buying much better. Under the net plants, yes, under the net plants are the ones you need to buy for indoors. Under the net plants are the ones which are under the shade, and that's the ones you need to buy. There was a question, I think, by Suganam Bhatia. So that's the clarification on that. Then let's talk about the plant itself. How do you know from 50 plants there, which plants are you going to pick up? Right? That's a very important question. And there are multiple layers to it. And I'll start as a thumb rule. If there's a group of plants, like let's say there are 50 money plants or 50 peace lilies, and then they'll be kept like there'll be rows of 5 here, then 5 here, then 5 here. Like that, it forms a rectangle, right? Everybody familiar with this kind of a setup? You walk in, you see money plants, and there are 50 money plants kept together. They are forming a rectangle, those 50 pots together. Now, you have to pick a plant from the periphery, from the boundary. Pick a plant from the boundary. A lot of the times, you will find the plants in the middle, you find them attractive, you pick them up, and then you're not happy with them. It's the plants on the boundary which have a much complete growth in all directions. So always pick a plant from the boundary. You might go one step inside, one step outside, because sometimes the pots gets exchanged over time. But this is a pro tip. Even if you're looking at different plants, and I'll be talking about what things we have to look at, always look at plants from the boundary and choose from there. You will have a plant which has better growth because it's getting light from more places. It's always getting watered well. And that's how we know it is going to do better. And you'll observe it also. Next time you go to a nursery, just compare a plant, pick it up from the middle and one pick up from the boundary. When you compare the both, the boundary one you will like better. I know that. So that's the thing. So we have done 3 things. We have said prepare before you go to the nursery. Secondly, once inside the nursery, observe the light conditions within the nursery. And third is from a group of plants, if we have to choose without any more information, then we pick from the boundary. That's just a thumb rule. And those plants are happier. Now, what are we looking at when we look at a plant and decide whether I should buy it or not? And this is considering I've decided to buy a certain plant. Then how do I know out of the many options of the pots that I have, which ones are the ones which I should buy? Now, there are 2 things you have to look at. You have to look at the roots and you have to look at the stems. Actually, there's a third thing. And you have to look at the new growth. And I'll come to that one. Most people get stuck looking at leaves. Don't look at leaves. You know, nurseries don't grow their plants. The plants in nurseries are transported over like kilometers, hundreds of kilometers. Delhi gets its plants from Pune and Calcutta. And when they come in trucks just piled over one another. And it's very natural that the leaves get cut. The leaves are bruised, right? And so yesterday we remember we talked about watering, and I told you to distinguish between a brown tip and a bruised leaf. So most of the times in the nursery, the browning of the leaves that you see, they are the bruising. And how do we know that? They are cut from here and there, like I was showing this one yesterday. You see this cut leaf. Now this one, on the plant that it is on, it means nothing. for the plant health. Okay, there was a leaf, somebody stabbed it, now it is hurt, but it doesn't mean the plant is good or bad. Either ways, I can't comment on that. So don't focus on leaves, focus on the stem, focus on the roots. And let me show you an example. That's why we have this big plant here today, making its guest entrance. So this is a variegated rubber plant, and this is a bit taller than me right now when I'm sitting. So it's a huge plant. Now, when I bought it, all the leaves were drying. Okay, I can show you a bruised leaf. You see this one? All the leaves were like this. It had very few leaves. The leaves which were there, they were bruising. And that's why I got this one for 200 rupees. Because the nursery was like, nobody's buying this one. And I'll tell you why I bought it. First of all, I saw that the roots are coming out from the bottom. Right? Now, what does that mean? And it can be both a good thing or a bad thing for you, depending upon what kind of gardener you are or what do you want. If the roots are coming out from bottom, that basically means I'm paying for a smaller pot while this plant is already exceeded the pot size. It is ready to go into the next pot size. So plants are priced according to the pot size because that also determines the growth that they are in. And any plant which has roots coming out from the bottom, it essentially means it is a 4-inch pot, but you can easily put it in a 6-inch pot, and very soon you'll have a bigger plant than what you're buying. So always look, if the roots are coming out from the bottom, you can repot it very soon. And we'll cover this tomorrow of what to do after bringing the plants home. So that's why I'm saying you can repot it very soon, not immediately, but very soon. And you'll have a plant which is much bigger than what you bought initially. So that is one of the things. The second thing, when I said look at the stem and not the leaves, you see here, I look at this branching and this one. So essentially what I'm looking at a plant which has multiple branching. That means A, it is going to grow fuller. Secondly, I have a great chance to propagate it and make it into two plants. Not propagate, divide it. So when I'm repotting, there's a huge chance that I can divide it and make a bigger plant. So I can go two ways now. Because the roots are coming out from the bottom, I can go with a bigger pot and make the whole thing into a bigger system. Or I can divide it into two plants of same size pot and get two plants. So that's very important. And you have to look at the branching. I'll show you another example. Okay, that's not the right plant, so I can't show you another example. But this is always very important. Always look at if there is branching, then your plant is already matured. If there are roots coming out from bottom, it is mature. You're paying lesser for a bigger plant, right? It works brilliantly, right? So don't look at leaves, but look at the bottom. And I'll tell you why don't look at the leaves. The leaves will grow back much faster. And anyways, when you bring plant home, it's highly probable that the leaves that it had, even healthy leaves, it will shed. And again, we'll discuss this tomorrow in detail. That's why never concentrate on leaves, but focus the stem. Now, there are more ways to look at the stem. Is the stem thick? So one thing that I would not want is, I won't want a tall plant, like this is tall, but with very thick stem so that it can't support itself. So thickness is one, the division is the other. And if you're not able to find it, ask the nursery person. Ask after you have chosen the plant, you ask him, is there any other option in this pot? Find me a pot which has branching. Find me a pot which has two plants. And he'll find it. Because you know what? How do these two plants happen? So snake plant, not those flower one kind, but the ones which grow straight up. They propagate on their own. Their roots will bring out new pups. So what happens is a plant which has not been sold for a long time is going to still grow. And while it was planted for sale in a small pot as one plant, but by the time you reach nursery, say 3 months, 4 months after the plant came there, it's already divided into two plants, or it is just showing the sign of division. And that's the way to buy more than what you're paying for, kind of like a deal. So that's my most important tip here. Don't focus on the leaves. And the third thing here, which I was saying was, look for new growth. So I'll take this example again. So can you imagine when I bought it, it had none of these leaves. But if I can show you this, do you see this red tip? Or maybe here. Let me bring it down. Do you see a red tip? Basically, that red tip is new leaves. So what we need to look at, have to look at for new leaves coming out. If there are new leaves coming out, that means the plant is happy now. And what I mean by that is, I just told you the plants travel like a lot. They come from Pune to Delhi and Calcutta to Delhi. And the thing is, only after they are here for some time, they will develop new growth. Now, why is it important? Say 100 plants start their journey from Pune, right? Only say, let's say 90 are in a condition that they are even kept by the nursery person. But out of those 90, another 10, 15, 20 might not survive because their root got damaged, because of the stem broke at some place or something like that. And it's not evident right away. But after the nursery person keeps it for some time, he will see the plants which are dying, which are not doing well. But the plants which are doing well, they'll start doing new growth. And that's why if you buy a plant which has new growth, that means that plant has acclimatized to your city's environment. That plant is also very happy in current climate that you have in your city. And that's why it has higher chances of doing well with you. So that's the three things. Look at the roots at the bottom of the pot. Look at for stems which are thick and dividing. Two plants in one pot or self-propagating plants, things like that. And third, look for new growth, new leaf growth, signs of anything that indicates that this plant is happy in this environment. Very important. So these are the three things when it comes to the plant. Then there was one more point which I'm missing. Does it happen with me? Okay, let me just look at the questions in the meantime. Okay. Why plants in nursery are always good and die at home? That's a very interesting question. I will just take it. I wanted to know regarding which plant should we choose to, which plants is best. Okay. What would be ideal putting some water on? Okay, perfect. So, good question. Kiran is asking why plants are really happy in nursery and they die. So, if you look at plants from the points that I have told you, you will find these plants will be happier at your place also. What we need to understand is the conditions and the watering and the care in nursery is much different, right? And also there's a huge stress when we move plants, and we'll cover this tomorrow. How to really move plant from nursery to home. What are the steps on how to do it? And essentially this movement causes the plants to be stressed, and that's why they lose their happiness, or they're really good there and not good here. So let's do a one quick question. So what was the last plant that you bought? I know it's lockdown right now, so we are not buying plants in last 7 8 days. But what was the last plant that you bought? And also in general, what is one of the most difficult questions that you have when you visit nursery regarding choice of plants? And in the meantime, I'll take one point here. We also have to understand how plants are priced, and their difference between seasonal plant and annuals or evergreen plants. So plants which are generally, like, let's say as a rule of thumb, plants which are flowering, which are spring based, plants which love sun, which are outdoors in general, a lot of them have a limited lifespan, like petunias. In most climates, petunias can't survive 12 years, but there's a narrow window, say in Delhi or North India, of 4 months that petunias grow. And that's when they're sold in abundance, but they're going to die, right? So these are known as seasonal plants, and these are always going to be priced much cheaper, right? You can get a big basket of petunias for 50 to 80 rupees, and a small one for 10, 20, 25 rupees. And we have to understand one of the big reasons why is seasonal plants are generally grown there. Seasonal plants are purchased by the nursery people in, say, very small conditions, like for 50 paisa, 1 rupee. They're grown in a month or so to bigger plants, and then they're sold right there. There's no extra cost in transportation, in dyeing of the plants, and things like that. Packaging. Would you believe for petunia to be transferred, there's almost a 50 rupee cost of just packaging a plant? And this I learned in Ahmedabad. I'm like, Pune is so much closer to you, but you are giving the same rate as what I get in Delhi. Then he's like, you know what? This is my packaging cost, and because of that, the kilometer cost really doesn't matter that much. The packaging cost itself is a lot. So it comes to the second thing. When we think of plants as expensive, we have to understand if we are going to buy a plant which is going to stay with us for longer or not going to stay with us for longer. So anything which is perennial, be it Areca palm, so sorry, anything that is going to last. So be it Areca palm or snake plants or money plants and things like that. I mean, the big baskets and good baskets can be expensive, even the big pots. And that's okay, because that plant is going to stay with you. I see a lot of people making this mistake to just evaluate the plant based on the cost, and then they get upset because the plant was the seasonal one that they bought and it will die. So that is very important thing. And I'm just reading your messages right now. So Croton, Dinesh, Croton died, Succulent, Sumakshi, NG Rao, spoiled for choice, Sri Lakshmi, Dracaena, Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea needs good sun. I'm just pointing it out. Syngonium. Okay, yes, now I remember one point that I had forgotten. Somebody mentioned something about flowering plants. When you buy a plant which is flowering or which has flowers, buy plants which are not flowering but have a lot of buds. Look for buds. In flowering plants, don't look for flowers, look for buds. That's the most important thing. Flowers will wilt in a couple of days. The buds are the ones which are going to keep giving you flowers for much longer. And you will find there are many plants in the same nursery which are not flowering, but they have so many buds. So you know that when you bring it home in a week, 2 weeks, it will be full bloom. And it's also great because now when you bring it home, you don't have to witness a flower die, but once you bring it home, you'll see the flowers bloom. And that's always a much more positive feeling, to know that you brought in home something and it is blooming, than you brought home something and its flowers are now dying and now I have a flowerless plant, though I got it with the flowers. So that is broadly the points that I would really like to leave you with. So first, start. Okay. So first, start planning from home about the plants you want to buy and where you will keep them. And that will allow you to make the right decisions on the type of plant, the size of plants, once you know the light conditions of the place you are going to keep it in. The second thing is, once you visit a nursery, always look at its structure, look at where the light is, how the light is. Be mindful of the green net on the top, and under the green net is the shaded area. That's where you can buy plants which you can then keep indoors. No need to ask the nursery person again. That's the way to do it. And if any plant is kept outside, no matter how much he tells you, you can keep it indoors. Trust me, you can't. Because otherwise he would not have been keeping it outdoors. And the third thing is, when you're buying a plant, don't focus on leaves, but focus on the stem and the roots. It's great deal if the roots are coming out from the bottom. That basically means you bought a bigger plant for lesser price. And when you're looking at a stem, look for the thickness of the stem and look if the stem is dividing. Always prefer a plant with multiple stem branching. That is going to be a much fuller and a healthier plant. It's a much mature plant. Then the third thing is, look for the new leaves in the plant. If there's sign of any new growth, that basically means the plant has acclimatized to the city or the environment where you are and it's happy there. But when you're buying a flowering plant, don't buy the one which is already blooming. Buy something which has buds. And that way, when you bring it home, you'll be introducing it to life of bloom rather than having to witness the flowers wilt. So those are the main points. I hope they were useful. Tomorrow we'll talk about how, once you bring the plants home, how you should really acclimatize them, how you should really steps to keep them happy indoors. Also, how to transport. I'll tell you another thing. I always carry a cardboard box with me, or have some sheets at the bottom of your car trunk. But the box really works very well, because that way when you have to unload the car, you can just take one box, because I know we buy many plants in one go, right? It's not just one pot, two pot you can carry and bring home. So if you keep this carton, you put the plants here, and it really helps us because our office is on 4th floor, and to transfer all the plants that we buy up the lift, it would have taken us so many more rounds if we didn't have this carton. So thank you so much. That's my wrap for today's topic, but I'm here. I'm going to answer the questions, and we are also going to do a quick update on the microgreens. So if you're growing microgreens, this is a great time to be here. And at the same time, I'll always also request you, whatever you like, didn't like, please leave it as a comment. If you like the video, this live, there's a like button. I'm just learning the new YouTube terminology, and today I was reading this article and YouTube says, ask your subscribers or viewers if they like the video to click the like button, just so that YouTube knows that they like the video. So thank you so much, and we are going to put more videos on this channel. I have found that the videos here are much more accessible to people because they're able to share it very easily across the platforms. So that works well. And so thank you. If you want to leave, I won't feel bad. You can leave now as the session is officially over. I'll be taking questions and some update on microgreens. Thank you so much. Okay. Where is our office? Our office is in Kohat Enclave, Delhi, not Delhi. But right now it's here because work from home. Okay. Thank you, Rashi. Wow, Pooja, your tomato seeds germinated. I'm really happy that your tomato seeds have germinated. I honestly, because I'll confess what happened. I forgot where I kept my tomato seeds, and then I found them like 3 or 4 days later, and I'm like, wow, I don't know What can I show? So great. Anmol Gupta is a neighbor of ours in Kapil Vihar. That's very near to our office. Great. Uh, what do I do with a dead bud? Dead bud of which plant? If you can share that, I can tell you. Plant require direct sunlight and water on regular basis. Okay, okay, that's an answer to someone. Okay, how to grow strawberry in pots? Okay, we'll talk about this. Anmol Gupta says talk about compost. So basically, we are ourselves a fertilizer company. I don't know if you know. I mean, we do a lot of videos. I love gardening, and that's why I love these sessions. And our philosophy is always to keep our company and products aside, and that's why a lot of people don't know. But actually, we ourselves are a fertilizer company. So this is a green stick, and this is bloom stick. And essentially, green stick is for lush green foliage, and bloom stick is for flowering plants. These are sticks that you can just insert into the soil and they feed over 2 months. So if you need more information, go to lazygardener.in, and that's the only fertilizer I talk about. Also, because we have created this over a long period, and one thing that I find very missing and misleading about, say, compost or other things is they tend to not be complete in nutrition that the plants need. So just like humans, plants need a wide range of nutrition, both macronutrients and micronutrients. And so like boron or molybdenum and zinc and iron, these are required in traces, just like we need calcium and then we need vitamin D and things like that. The plants need that too. The problem with most of the other alternatives that we see in market is, one, they leach out very fast. So your plants, most of the time, they do not have nutrition. And the second thing is, they just happen to be all about nitrogen, while your plants need a lot more than that. So that's also another reason we have created this product. I really believe in it, and that's the thing. Croton, Dinesh says Croton died soon. So that's one update I'll give you about Croton. A lot of questions I'm getting on Instagram also about Croton. Croton does get sheds the leaves. It is possible, or part of the leaves are drooping and drying in February, March, all the way from December to March. Whenever temperature or climate changes suddenly, Croton gets very finicky. So what you have to do is, it's a very simple thing to do. Uh, okay, this plant is going to make entry again. So imagine this is a croton plant. Just imagine it's a croton plant. Now, all your leaves are dead, right? You don't have leaves. Now, all you need to do is you take your fingernail or something and just scratch it a bit here. Okay? I have scratched it here. Now, do you see it's green? This is where I scratched. It's green here, right? If it is green here, that basically means your plant will survive. Just take good care of it, right? Don't overwater, just keep good care. It will survive because the stem is healthy. And as I said, even when buying plants, we're looking at the stem. And that's the one reason, because the growth can come, the leaves can come if you have a healthy stem. So, Dinesh, just check your croton for this thing, and you'll find that probably it is still green and it will do well. Okay, Mita also has methi and tomato germinating. And Shilpa, thank you so much. You are happy with our green sticks and bloom sticks. And let me show you. This is the update on my. This is the sarson microgreens. Just give me 1 second. And this is my methi microgreens. Okay. Now, if we look at from the side, the growth is a bit lesser than what I expected. Like I would say it's lagging by 1 day or 1.5 days. But otherwise, I'm quite happy with it. And the other thing is, I think I had put a bit deeper. If I had put a bit shallower the seeds, we would have seen more density here. Because I'll see a lot of seeds which have not been able to come out, but they are struggling there. Now, what do we do with these? Whenever you are happy with your growth of microgreens, especially if you're doing the mustard ones, you can cut them with the scissors and put them in your breakfast. And you can put them, I'm no chef, I'm just telling you from what I do, right? It's not a microgreen recipe session, but you can put it on your bread sandwich. You can put it, say, with anything like, wherever you put that coriander garnish, where you think that can go, this can go. And just taste a bit of it so that you know the amount to put. And it's extremely healthy and it's extremely nice. And if you like it, you can choose your favorite ones, and then you can do 1 tray a day, 1 tray a week. And if you have 3 trays going, then you'll have 1 doing every week. But once you cut it, they won't regrow. So yes, you have to redo the process, but it's fairly simple process. And once you have done it, you know goods and bads of it in terms of where you went wrong or went right. I see a lot of people talked about fungus, and now we know to put it in a more aerated place, not to cover it. So even though for the first time might have been an effort, but the second time, the third time is going to be like a breeze. So, okay. Sangeeta Jindal, I can see your chat. My sarso are not growing at all. Your tomato grew. Meeta and sarso didn't grow. That's very surprising. You can just hit me on DM on any platform. Okay, so Ryan bought 1 variegated rubber plant for 150 rupees, and now he has 2 rubber plants because he divided them. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining in today. Tomorrow we'll be talking about what to do after you bring the plants home. And I'm enjoying this series. If there are any things, even other than growing, like these sessions, which is just pure love for plants, our common problems, sharing them and learning whatever I know of it, please do put it as a comment or a chat or something so that we can do a session on that. And that way the session would be most useful for most number of people. And I hope next time you go to nursery, you might have a better luck with plants, or I can help you in some way to choose plants in a better manner. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining in today, tomorrow, and every day, 4 p.m. on YouTube here. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.